Hey guys, so this is Miss Ward. Today your notes are about compound types and classifying elements. This is going to be super important because this is one of those things that you guys will use all year long, forever and ever in chemistry. The main focus of these is just the difference between metals and nonmetals. Okay, I'm not going to go into all of the different characteristics. You guys can read those; they're written below. I'm just focusing on recognizing and the difference between the two of them and what it means. So it mentions here that there is a staircase line that separates the fact that there are metals on the left-hand side and non-metals on the right-hand side. Funnily enough, this little line right here is actually kind of incorrect. I'm going to draw the staircase line for you on my periodic table in a second, so that way you guys can see. One thing I want you guys to primarily notice here is that on the left-hand side of this staircase line, these are all metals. All these at the bottom are also all metals. On the right-hand side, this little corner over here, these are the nonmetals plus hydrogen. Okay, hydrogen always exists as a nonmetal. So you'll notice there are many more metals than there are nonmetals in the periodic table. All right, there's also these things that are referred to as metalloids. Metalloids are elements that take on both characteristics of a metal as well as a nonmetal, and they exist on the stair-step line. So the staircase line that I'm referring to, let me pull up my periodic table. So what you're going to do, I would suggest you all do this to your own personal periodic tables. The ones you test with, it is already done there for you. So you draw a line. It goes straight down from boron, down and over, down and over, down and over, down and over, down and over. It stops here. We don't know enough about the newer elements to know whether or not they would be classified as a metalloid. We can make some assumptions and some guesses as to whether or not they would be, but we don't ever include them when we talk about the metalloids. The metalloids are any of the elements that touch the staircase line 2 times, with the only exception being aluminum, because aluminum is 100% a metal. So your metalloids are boron, silicon, germanium, arsenic, antimony, tellurium, polonium, and astatine. Okay, so there are, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different elements. Now, again, the pattern would tell us that tennessine is probably a metalloid, but we don't ever include it because we just don't know enough about it yet. So those elements that are right along this staircase line, those are referred to as metalloids and can act either as a metal or as a non-metal. So if you haven't, go ahead and definitely draw that staircase line on your periodic table. Permanent marker works great, and so then it's there for you anytime you need it. So metals are on the left-hand side of the staircase, non-metals are on the right-hand side, and then metalloids lie right there in the middle. Now, the reason this is important and the thing you're going to use this for all year long is because knowing if something's a metal or a non-metal is key to identifying the type of compound that exists. So a compound we know is when we have 2 or more types of elements that are chemically bonded together. So depending on if those elements are non-metals or a mixture of metals and nonmetals will determine on whether or not it is an ionic compound or a molecular compound. Ionic compounds are formed when you have a metal and a nonmetal. So sodium chloride would be a ionic compound because sodium is a metal, chloride is a nonmetal, making it ionic. Molecular compounds are those that are made by simply nonmetals. So 2 molecular elements together. H2O is a molecular compound. Hydrogen is a nonmetal, oxygen is a nonmetal, making it molecular. If you want to know if something's ionic or molecular, all you have to do is look at the first element. If the first element is a metal, it's automatically ionic. If the first element is a nonmetal, it's automatically molecular. At this point, this is what you need to know. So when you do your practice sheet, you'll just look at them and you'll decide for the compounds, is the first element a metal or a nonmetal? If it's a metal, it's ionic. If it's a nonmetal, it's molecular. All right, that's it. Have a great night.